Is starting apparently, and there we go. So today we got Ben, or Modesty Bear, on with us.
Hello.
Yeah. So Ben and I, we were talking last time he came on, and I described myself as left-leaning libertarian, and he said that is redundant. So we're going to talk about that today.
I don't think I said it was redundant. Did I say it was redundant?
No, but it was something similar to that.
You know, it's a good thing that that you guys can talk about that, because for the last hour we've just been bullshitting retardedly.
Okay. Well, that's nothing wrong with that. It's just like you're hanging out.
It's fun.
So,
Of course it's fun.
well, let's start by defining terms. How do we define like a libertarian? Just a basic libertarian.
Well, give me half a second just to bring up the stream, and then I will look up a definition of it, because I want to be able to see what they're saying in the super chats and stuff.
For sure.
Which apparently there's 13 people watching. So hello, everybody.
I think everybody wants to get on the chat, on the stream.
Everybody. We cannot have, like, literally everybody. That is far too many voices. We can read comments, though.
I agree. We had 5 last time. I think it was too much. Although,
but I will invite Island Bear into this. Or who wants to be in? Okay. There is not a super chat, but you can go to my PayPal, and then I will disperse it equally amongst the bears that are here. New people can come on, but we try to keep a limit to like 3, 4. Any more than 4 is too many. Far too many.
by the way, Kyle, I don't know what it means, but it keeps telling me I'm presenting to everyone. So if
I'm trying to figure out how to make it so that all 3 of us are on the screen at the same time.
I don't know if that's possible.
Well, they do it with like Molyneux and shit.
Yeah, but are they using Google Hangouts?
Even so, they're probably going through like an OBS system, probably something. I would assume they're going through Skype and then OBS and setting it up with like those 3 lines.
That would make sense, but I haven't figured out how to do that yet. This is the way that. Okay, so somebody just asked me to what my PayPal thing is. So apparently I'm gonna look that up after I look up libertarian.
Actually,
why can't you be a left-leaning libertarian?
I'm sure you can be a left-leaning libertarian. Why would you want to be a left-leaning anything?
Fair enough.
Libertarian is a collection of political philosophies and movements that uphold liberty as the core principle. So, which is kind of more or less what?
And what is liberty?
Oh, man, you're really going to make me read a lot, aren't you?
Well, because you define liberty as opposed to, let's say, freedom, because liberty is the owning of land and being able to use that land for production. So
freedom or right
liberty would be ownership.
The freedom or right to frequent or use a place.
A place, yeah, like a land.
Unwarranted or impertinent freedom in action or speech, or a form or an instance of it to take liberties. So from what I'm getting, it's the right to simply be able to do stuff without being As long as you're not like hurting somebody else or screwing them over, just kind of do you.
Okay, so Kyle, first of all, I think what's happening right now is I am on the main screen.
You
I
are.
think you guys are at the bottom.
You are.
Yeah.
Well, it's a
Ron Paul,
beautiful,
libertarian.
beautiful picture.
I'm okay with that. My face is very pretty, but you know.
That's what I was thinking. Just leave you on there.
So interesting. So Ron Paul libertarian is different than an Austin Peterson libertarian. So I would be curious to know the difference because I am trying to figure out. Well,
Ron Paul's an isolationist. Ron Paul is totally. There's a total difference between Ron Paul and what's it called?
I don't know.
And Jordan
Austin
Peterson.
So maybe instead of
I mean,
trying to discuss something with fluctuating terms, why don't we discuss what we believe and why we think that is more fruitful than something else?
Okay. Let's go with that. So why don't
Yeah.
Ben, you start?
So I would say that I am a libertarian in the sense that I would like minimal federal government involvement in
Okay.
almost everything, which is a huge problem, I believe, in our contemporary society because of media's effect on globalization. Because we can communicate across the globe instantaneously, it makes it very difficult to not have concerns for the global movement, global economics, global ethics, etc. However, for each independent nation, I believe, and their citizens, I believe that nationalism, as in like the same thing as like a Ron Paul or even a Rand Paul would kind of say, their ideal would be my ideal if it wasn't for the influences of globalization and media reach. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I thought Ron Paul was totally against globalization.
He is, but I think that's almost utopian at this point because of how connected the world is and how there's world commerce and there's world communication, and it's really, I mean, is it even possible at this point for each nation to be independent of the global, I don't know how to say it, global influence?
globalism.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess that kind of,
Well, there's a difference. Globalism and globalization are two different things,
right?
right? I think you're talking about globalization because globalism would be more of a centralized global government, and then globalization would be more of the world coming together.
Right, and I think that we're at a point of no return when it comes to globalization. Then,
Yeah,
probably are.
I would agree with you on that one.
Yeah, I would agree. We have the internet. The fact that we have the internet and everybody can use it destroys isolationism, basically.
right, and I think that the best form of the best way to produce the most taking care of populations is by not having globalization. So I would agree with Ron Paul in that isolationist style would be better, right? But we can't do that. So now we have to come up with a solution that is different than that.
Bear Juice talking, and I see his lips moving. Oh wait, never mind. I'm looking at the fucking YouTube thing, and it's delayed.
So that would be my perspective on how libertarian to me is an ideal that I don't know that we can have at this point.
Well, libertarian to me has always been just everybody gets, it's just basic, leave everybody alone and let them do what they're going to do. In general, I haven't felt like libertarian.
Yeah, that seems inevitable for the future. How could it not go that way?
Very
that,
easily.
Yeah, how is it applicable?
Wait.
I mean, how is that even a possibility in a world where everybody's connected?
What I just said is inevitable. I think we're heading towards a point where what I said, the libertarian view, is running away very hard.
Yeah, I agree.
With the amount of first of all, the amount of this little stupid computer, this little camera on my computer. The fact that I have it and there's a mic in my phone and there's a mic in this and a mic in that. The government, first of all, the government can see everything. I'm sharing everything. And the people in China can see me. It's not like we're not.
What does that have to do with libertarian?
I don't know. I have ADD. I like going on tangents.
I feel like libertarian is inevitable in the future.
Explain.
Yeah, how?
People are accessing information so much more that they're fighting against all of the systems that hold them back. And that's what I think of libertarianism. It's freedom. If you think that we're not going to be getting more free, then I just don't understand why you'd think that.
Well, because we have compelled speech laws in Canada, our sex ed course in Ontario is written by a convicted pedophile.
Yeah, but that's now. That's not the future.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It's like I agree with Joe Rogan in the sense that we are. Can you not hear me?
No, we hear you fine, dude. Speak.
Oh, fuck. Where was I? I do this all the time.
You agree with Joe Rogan about something?
Yeah.
Oh, the way that the internet is like making us like maybe elevate our morals or reevaluate. But as far as like things going the other way, like I'm kind of with the other two on this because we're more directly able to see what people are doing, and like everybody has very restrictive views, right? I don't know.
I kind of look at it the same way as Jolly Roger. I think that we got to think of it like Star Trek, right? Star Trek would be libertarian, don't you think? That's the future.
No, they're
no, they were fascist.
Star Trek?
They're not fascist. They're
They
not
totally were.
They were a federation that everybody had to go under all the checks and balances. They were either fascist or socialist, but they certainly weren't free.
Yeah, dude, Star Trek has a global government. It's globalism. That's like pure globalism.
It is globalism. So, yeah, everything.
Straight up your ass, Island Bear. Sit and spin.
The only way we go to libertarianism is we have a revolt, which is a possibility because when we go to one extreme, the tendency is to go to there's a backlash and you go to the next extreme. So yeah, the future could be libertarianism. The future could be
from
not globalism. But as of right now, everything is going in the direction of globalism.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what is, Kyle, to you, what is left-leaning libertarianism? What is the difference between left-leaning to you libertarianism versus right-leaning libertarianism?
Okay, so I'm with all of you guys, like the freedom to just say what you want, do what you want without government interference. I think any government interference in that is nonsense. Minus things like theft, so infringing upon other people's property rights and shit like that, or their right to self-preservation and their health. Like don't attack people, kind of thing. Don't pick fights. But I also see value in things like some of the safety nets. I think they've gone way too far. But I see, like for instance, I was working construction when I first moved back to Kamloops in 2016. I got laid off and was able to turn that into a fairly productive music career. Like I live off of music now, right? And just having that safety net gave me the time to build up the business. I was able to find the contacts that I needed to do and find out what I needed to do. And like there's a program in Canada where you can start a business through their unemployment program, where they'll like fund a business and then it goes from there, right? So if you fuck up, you fuck up, and that.
Does your unemployment program act similar to the United States unemployment program, whereas you're working for a job and depending on the salary you get from that job will determine how high or how low your unemployment is?
Yes.
Or is it something different? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's also how WCB works.
Right. So unemployment programs, I think there's a lot of good reasons to have them.
Yeah. Right.
And as long as you're not stuck on them, like a welfare program that doesn't end.
Yes.
That there's a motivation to get back.
Those are the things that I don't like, right? Like for instance, our income assistance program, there's people who are on it for literally years, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've had a buddy who just got out of being homeless. Like he just got back into a place and he said there's people there who have literally, they just collect income assistance and that's that, right? That bothers me. What I think, like things like income assistance, EI, that sort of shit, it needs to have a cutoff date, right? Because it's supposed to be like, okay, it catches you, now get your ass back up, as opposed to, you know, like you don't have to go back to work as long as you have, as a single mom, as long as you have a child under 3, and you get more money with each successive child. As far as I know, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's how it was described to me.
It's a safety net. It gives you the option to do nothing,
right? Well, no, like like it doesn't work like that because like with EI, like I said, it cuts off. It has a cutoff date, right?
Even WCB cuts you off.
Well, I don't know about in Canada. I'm talking about welfare in the United States.
Oh, does it just not have cutoff?
I'm not 100% sure, but I know that there are many people who just have welfare and don't actually work.
Yeah, and so that's an issue, right?
Well, and there's just too many loopholes. There's too many ways to game the system, you know. And then when politically, when people say, okay, well, we have to put certain legislation in place that cuts off those loopholes, then you hear this uproar of, well, that's racist.
Yeah,
which is weird because when I was debating this, 5 years ago, and I'm sure it could have changed, but there was way more white people on welfare than there were black people, and now I don't know what the percentages are now. But
that depends where you are, because up here, nobody's gonna call that racist. We don't have that issue.
Yeah, we don't really get that card. Like we do have racism here. Like don't get me wrong.
Towards the Indians,
but we didn't. You guys don't have the stigma of slavery for.
Oh no, we got the fucking residential schools where like
and
kids
that's up
were like
until,
ripped
like
from their
a
families.
decade ago, bro.
Yeah, and like ripped
one decade.
Literally, it stopped in the 80s. So a couple now.
Well, yeah, it's a couple now, but
no, but
yeah,
like within our lifetime.
Ripping the kids away from their parents, where they were put into schools, forced to learn English, forget their own culture, fucking beaten, raped, and like
that's the Aboriginal thing, right?
Yeah. There's so many horror stories about little Indian kids running away from schools,
still
just freezing to death.
There's people still alive who went there, and shit like that. I'm like, Jesus Christ! Like, are you kidding me? Right?
Yeah.
And
my Canadian cousin talks about this. She rants about it. It's like
it's disgusting, man.
I went to school with a guy whose parents were both from a residential school.
Like
he actually had a really confusing opinion on it because I was more against it than he was.
What was the justification for
that? We tried to impose our culture on them.
Yeah, basically what the lefties are doing. It was, you're gonna be white, you're gonna be English, and that's just gonna be it.
So wait, so what specifically happened? they took them out of their schools to
The
like.
main problem is they shipped them so far from home. They would take these kids and they would drive them like 8 hours from home, and they would drop them off in a big city. And then when the kid runs away from school, all these white people just can't see this little brown kid, and he freezes to death on the side of the road. It's fucked.
You know what we did to the Native Americans in the late 1800s?
I mean,
Imagine that 30 years ago.
It's pretty fucked up, yeah.
Yeah. Not as bad necessarily, but still pretty bad.
But like on the other hand, in my own family, there are examples of like I have my godmother Liz. She's like a pastor at a church, and she adopted one of these little Indian kids, and now all of these leftists they're giving her shit. They're sending her hate mail. They're giving her death threats because she adopted this fetal alcohol syndrome kid who wouldn't have had a chance on the reserve.
Sweet.
And they call her a baby stealer. So
Sweet.
like,
are you talking about native Canadians, or are you talking about Indians from India?
I've never in my life used the word India for people with a dot. It's not in my vocabulary.
Yeah, Native American Canadian.
I literally was thinking about little Indian kids with, the dot Indian.
Yeah,
they're not Aboriginal. They call them Aboriginals.
Aboriginals, like in Australia.
Yeah, like in Australia.
Okay.
It's Aboriginals or First Nations, but I don't really like the First Nations because, as far as I understand, people just kept coming over the ice bridge and forcing the people down. So I'm kind of like, were you? Or
yeah,
was it just a history
there's so much misinformation about natives and Aboriginals. It's like insane.
But like, I don't mind calling them Aboriginals. That makes sense. If I know their the actual tribe they came from, I'll try to call them that. Like if I like the Cree, he's a Cree guy. If I'm describing like kind of him,
I don't know, man. My Cree friends call themselves Indians. I call them Indians.
Well, there you go, man. Like
Cree.
Yeah, there's Inuit.
They're not
Cree
really
is
Inuit,
Cree is a tribe. There's tons of tribes up here. Cree is the most populous one. There's a fuckload of them.
Okay, so there's a tribe.
You know what's actually really interesting about the Native Americans? The Métis, the ones with half white blood, survived way better, and they actually preserved a lot of that genetics just because they were immune to lots of the diseases, which is insane to think about.
That makes sense.
Well, yeah, because you would have the like genetic or the antibodies coming from whatever parent. Yeah,
right. That makes sense. That makes total sense. Right.
I read a super interesting book on all that about how like the reason why white people had all these viciously deadly diseases for them, and the book was saying that it's because of all of our domesticated animals. Like we spent 1,000 years living in the upper story of a barn above a bunch of pigs and cows and chickens and shit. And so we absorbed all of their diseases. We got colds and flus and all the viruses that they have, and they morphed into us. And so that's where we got all this from. But all of the indigenous people that never domesticated animals didn't have those particular things.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty incredibly. I mean, it makes sense, but maybe it's a stretch. I don't know. I'm no scientist.
No, that makes total sense.
And I don't know. But yeah, and as far as like what a right-leaning libertarian is, I would say they would be like, do away with the safety nets.
Basically, yeah. It would be a right-leaning libertarian would be somebody who wants just about zero regulation, no safety nets, and just, let people be people. Almost anarchy with small government.
Yeah. Right. So
well, is that true? Or are they just saying that they want to take so much more of the power away from the federal government and then break it down to like smaller and smaller governments, like community governments or state government and so on and so forth? Because I don't know that libertarians are anarchists.
No, because I see value in government.
Yeah, but are anarchists libertarianism?
No, I don't think so at all. I think an anarchist feels that any government is an oppressive force on your lifestyle. Therefore, there should be no government.
Right. So So we went over this the other day on the stream. We were talking about how anarchy is all, or I don't know if that was just me on my stream. I was ranting. Well, anarchy is all the way to the right, right? It's all the way to the right. Just like communism is all the way to the left. So your libertarians are closer to the anarchy, but they're not there.
Well, why were so many libertarians, left-leaning libertarians, pro Bernie Sanders, even though he was saying he was basically a socialist?
That's beyond me. How anybody who thinks that they want freedom could have voted for Bernie Sanders is.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't. I understand there's a huge disconnect there, but then what do you think their thought process on it was? Because that's kind of like.
Okay, so I actually liked Bernie for a little while, and so my explanation for that is like I saw it as him removing. This was also at a time that I didn't know the history of like how communist Russia started and all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I was like, oh yeah, like Bernie said, free education, free, right? And I wasn't thinking about where that money's coming from or how.
Where does the money come from, right?
Where does the money come from, right? So if you're not thinking about, okay, where's the money coming from, then you're looking at it from a perspective of, okay, well, if we're removing barriers to allow people to do the things that they want to do, then this just makes sense, right? Because if you can get the education, right? Because when I went to university, I studied music not because I figured I would have a job immediately afterwards, but because then I'd actually be able to go into the field and have enough knowledge about the field that I could compete in it, right? Mm-hmm. So when I was thinking about it, it was like, oh, free education, that would make it so that like I'd only have to come up with rent, and then I would be able to. Yeah, with magical accounting, anything's possible. It's yeah,
but the problem there is you have to come up with rent, but then you'd also have to come up with like 100% more taxes.
Oh, absolutely, and that's what I started learning afterwards, right? Which is why I now think Bernie is a fucking dolt, and definitely problematic. I don't think he is.
Yeah, but are you trying to say that the prices on university are necessarily what they're at? That's bullshit. They're inflated intentionally to keep the poor out, and that's well documented.
No, I disagree with that.
Yeah, the whole thing about the tuition being so high is because the government guarantees the fucking loan.
Yep, that's exactly what happens.
When you know for a fact that you will get money out of these people, like you just know.
Like, it has nothing to do with keeping the poor out. It's just the fact that they can get the money. They know they can get the money, so they raise the price.
Yeah, because what people are not getting is schools, universities are businesses. Yeah. And their money comes from the students.
Right?
And if the students are getting a handout from the government, they're going to charge as much as they can in order to keep those students in the school, and it's a guaranteed loan,
and then make it so that you can't get a job without that, right?
It's a very similar point by insurance companies and medical care, when they can charge a ridiculous amount of money for a pill that doesn't cost that amount of money just because the insurance company will pay it. You know, they don't charge that much money because that's what it's worth. They charge that much money because that's what they can get.
Yes.
That's what schools do.
And that's the big lie. And that's the big lie. And the additional big lie is that those students are not going to have to pay for their education, because if the government paid for the complete education, then the people are being taxed for that education. So when you graduate from that university
when you're working, now you're paying for the next generation.
Now you're paying for the next tuition, but more so because you're not just paying for yourself, you're now paying for
the next generation.
Thousands and thousands of people.
Yeah. No, you listen to like our grandparents' generation saying how they could work a part-time job and pay their tuition. Like work a part-time job over summer and pay their tuition for the year, right? And we're like, well, that's wishful thinking, and that's why, right?
Dude,
back in the day,
it's a quote from the guy that runs, like, I can't remember what school it was, but it's an Ivy League, like Harvard or Oxford or one of those fucking pretentious ones. And he said, "We keep the prices high to keep out the riffraff." That's not
really
made
said
up.
that?
Yeah, but not in this generation. Like, that's a long time ago.
No, yeah,
Oh,
I believe that's true. They used to do that, like the Yales and the Stanfords and the Harvards and all that. They kept it high because they were an elite. They were elitist groups. Well,
Gabriel brought up an interesting point that I think is kind of like we could talk about. He said there's no such thing as a free lunch, but that's you're not imagining. You're just not using your brain if you think that couldn't be a thing. Like, of course, there could be a time when that is a thing. Don't you think?
No.
Well, then you're just not reaching enough.
No, somebody is paying for it.
Well, that's not right.
You might get a free lunch, but that free lunch, somebody
somewhere along the line of production.
By work, time, or money.
All right. Well, I can bring up an example where that's not true.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, there's okay. Think of it like this. You know how in '90s nobody had an iPhone, nobody had a smartphone, nobody was walking around with a smartphone. That didn't exist, and then all of a sudden everybody had one. That's an example of the technology coming in and filling a hole that nobody thought would exist.
Yeah.
So here's the example where somebody gets a free lunch. The day they invent a robot that's intelligent enough to garden for you, to protect your home, to do your work for you, where humans.
That's not reality.
That is going to happen. That's definitely going to happen.
Kyle, I don't know if that's not reality. That might happen.
But that's not a free lunch.
That you can't imagine a time when somebody gets a free lunch, then you just can't picture that.
Okay,
that's not that hard to picture.
First of all, you're escaping the point of that quote. Second of all, you're dealing with hypotheticals, and we can say a billion hypotheticals. And third of all, even that has a cost.
Yeah, somebody had to mind them.
Think of Jordan Peterson. That cost could be simple as the person who's lazy and not doing those things for themselves cannot function when that robot breaks. Cannot function.
That's why I tell people to do everything yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me shed some light on this. First of all, the whole point is that, right? So that imagine that we get to the point where robots can just like run themselves. You get robots that can build more. This has no bearing in our current situation. And
not at all.
Not at all. But the whole point, Kate, so it shouldn't really have been brought up, but it's not that stupid because technically in the future we can have robots that can fix other robots that can build other robots.
That can power other robots.
Right. So technically a free lunch could happen, and that Ben Shapiro has actually talked about that would be the only reason to have a universal basic income, but it's stupid because we're not there. We're not going to be there until it actually happens. So it's worthless to talk about.
And we may never be there because the problem with perception, we cannot program perception. The human brain, or even most animal brains, are able to perceive so much data so quickly that computers can't process it.
But Ben, that doesn't matter. You can have a virtual intelligence that fixes things.
Yeah, absolutely. That's like saying that you can't imagine a smartphone existing 20 years ago. Of course you can't.
No. Okay.
But somebody's still paid to make it.
It's not about money. It's about how we process things along with our physiological and physical body. You have to hear Peterson talk about it. It's a phenomenal problem. And yeah, it's possible in the future at some point we're able to create androids that are able to do something like what we do. But
then the androids are going to be needing to maintain. And even if we design robots to maintain those robots, who maintain those robots, like there's a cost somewhere.
And then the cost very well may be what is it that a human is at that point? What is the evolution of human at that point? And what is our relationship to these multi-leveled, intelligent, perceiving bots?
Yeah, but like everybody would have thought that smartphones at this level would have been an insurmountable cost, but everybody has them. Things get cheaper.
But we're still paying for it. Whether
Sure,
we're
yeah,
paying
somebody
for
would
it
have to
upfront
pay for the
whether
robot.
we're paying for it in the contract, we're still paying for it. So
I mean, that's the best question, because then what is your purpose in life? Where do humans fall?
Guys, this is a totally worthless conversation. By the way, just saying.
This has to do with libertarianism. Because in that situation, wouldn't that be pure libertarianism? Because you're free to do
in that situation, all forms of government are worthless. You
I
could
agree.
have every. So it's not. It's a total theoretical situation. At which point,
Wait a minute. Are all forms of government? Wouldn't more regulation be necessary if we have something that we need to have more
you
control?
have to regulate the robots.
You have to regulate the robots. You have to regulate the people who are manipulating the robots. If I take my robot and say, "Hey, go kill that whole village," I mean, fuck.
Right.
Like,
let me take that back. Let me take that back. Yeah. All modern forms of government are basically useless.
Well, I agree with that.
I don't have a 100% chance we're in a porn matrix.
Pretty much.
They're talking about how smartphones have ruined people's lives and relationships.
It's probably true.
Smartphones
are brand new, man. As of like 6 years ago, where they were actually the way they are now, this current rendition of them.
Well, the interpersonal communication that the kids are lacking now who grew up on smartphones is, I mean, so visible.
Oh yeah.
It's sad.
We don't connect through, like, even right now, this conversation that we're having right now, we're talking to a screen.
You realize we couldn't have this conversation 10 years ago.
We couldn't have this conversation 3 years ago.
Well, I don't know about that, but 10 years ago,
live stream on YouTube?
To me, this is the good part, though, right?
I agree.
Right,
this is an upside.
So when you're saying that we were talking at a screen, I think this is actually a very good thing about the internet. But the other stuff, it ruins like video games and stuff like that.
Video games have actually been shown to increase hand-eye coordination a little bit better. It's something that's noticeable, but I mean, you can also go throw a ball.
Everything in moderation, man.
Yeah, that's the big biblical thing I was going to say. We in Christianity drink wine. It's good for you in moderation. When you start abusing drugs, when you start abusing any kind of food, if you have too much salt, you're gonna hurt yourself, right?
Jason said that we could have had this conversation 15 years ago because of video conferencing, but he's not mentioning that we're live streaming on YouTube. We've got all the comments we're interacting with.
Oh my God, Josh, you got to get over your tech.
Dude, tech is it's a big part of the world we live in.
Yeah, it wouldn't be this simple, and we probably wouldn't be the ones having the conversation. I mean, if we were in the industry, we could, but it's now accessible to everybody.
The truth is that it's sad that we're the ones having the conversation. If you think about it,
why? Why is that sad? We're all relatively intelligent people, I assume.
That's not what I meant. What I meant was you wish that this conversation would be had at the higher forms of government.
Well, they do have these conversations.
But here's the thing: in order for us to vote for them, we need to actually know what we're thinking for when we vote. So us having these conversations is actually a really good thing, because what we're doing is we're bouncing ideas, like Jordan Peterson always says, we're bouncing ideas off each other and seeing what actually works for us, right? So it's why it's like, I'm a left-leaning libertarian. Is it redundant? Maybe. Let's find out.
Somebody said that tech causes a lack of wisdom and patience. I was
just going to say that.
There's no way.
I 100% agree. You don't agree with that?
Not at all.
Okay.
If you think that people haven't become more wise?
No, I think they become
more knowledgeable.
They have way more knowledge. That's another thing that I notice with my kids, and they don't have the experiential knowledge in order to negotiate and make things applicable. So you can have all the information in the world, but if you can't move that into application, it's not wisdom. it's not wisdom. It's not even close to wisdom. And you can see it in a micro sense when you talk about people who have common sense or street smarts. People who have street smarts are people who observe others or have experienced enough stuff that they know how to negotiate a situation and apply their knowledge. Those people who have tons of knowledge at their fingertips and their smartphone, they are some of the dumbest people in the world sometimes. They have no wisdom at all because they just have access to information. They don't have the knowledge of how to use that information. And that's one of the biggest reasons why kids should never, ever, ever be given the ability to do something permanent to their bodies.
Well, we're all going to agree on that. That'll tell you.
Yeah.
Well, but they have knowledge. I mean, it's like the kids don't. It's not like the kids don't know what a penis is, or know what a vagina is, or know what a girl is, or know what a boy is. They have that knowledge, but they don't have the experience to know whether or not they want to be able to produce a child. I mean, I can't even tell you how many. My sister was one of these people. My sister was 30 until she decided she wanted to have a kid. Until she was in her 30s, she was like, I will never, ever have a kid. I don't want to bring a kid into this world. I don't want to have to raise a kid. I don't want to deal with a kid. She turned 30, 32, and she was like, I want to have a kid so badly. She had a beautiful child when she was like 36. And she couldn't be happier. She's ecstatic about it. And that's 30.
I was actually having an interesting conversation with some people on Facebook not too long ago. Yes, Facebook fights, they solve everything.
I saw that fight.
Facebook fights are worse than Twitter fights.
Oh, I know. But so yeah, basically what we were talking about was the right to self-sterilize, right? So basically, like getting snipped or getting your tubes tied or whatever.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
And a lot of the women were talking about how it should be their right and that the doctor should have to do the surgery because he's a doctor and he knows how to do it. And my argument, right? So this is where my libertarian argument came in, where I was like, you don't have the right to force somebody else to use their knowledge on you, right?
Right.
And they're going, it's my body, it's my choice. I should have the right to dictate my reproductive future. I'm like, you absolutely do. There's condoms, there's birth control. Well, what if birth control makes the person sick? Well, I mean, don't have sex, use condoms. I hear there's like this dental dam thing that's kind of gross, but I don't know. Spermicide, fucking
IUD.
IUD. I don't know at all, but there's a lot, right? So having a doctor say like, look, I don't think you're ready to do this, and I'm not going to do the surgery. Find somebody who will. If you want somebody to do it, find somebody who will, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know though. Are you saying that you wouldn't allow people to sterilize themselves at a young age? Like, is that what you're going for?
I'm not saying.
I would 100% not.
Okay,
But that's fucked because nobody's
Allow-
stopping that person from drinking that baby into a retarded state. There's nothing stopping that. So what? Like, you can't stop the one and not the other.
No,
Okay, here's
but
what I
the
think-
fact that you're
But
Can I respond?
but shouldn't that be a thing too? Like, if you have a woman
I agree, that should be a thing.
who is clearly like knowledge of being pregnant and goes about a lifestyle that is going to damage that child, that's abuse too, right? So I don't know how that works. I don't know how the legislation works, but obviously that's a problem.
The difference
Kyle,
between,
why don't you respond? Yeah.
okay, so the difference between the self-sterilization and the drinking, while the drinking is horrible, and I'm not arguing for that, the self-sterilization actually requires the skills and knowledge of a doctor being applied on that person. So my argument was like, okay, if a doctor says, no, I don't feel that you should be doing this, I'm not going to use my skills for that. I'll do it after you've reached this age mark, right? Whereas the drinking yeah, it's fucking horrendous. And I'm not arguing for it again, I think, but like,
It's a complication for sure. It's like
Yeah.
it's like in
But
our
in
our healthcare, we have the universal right to be fixed, but everybody has the equal right to fuck themselves up, and that's dumb. Like, I don't know.
Well,
Well, okay. Here's the thing.
You're right to be cautious because we're always teetering on the idea of is it okay to even self-harm?
I posit yes.
Okay, yeah, totally. If that argument can be brought to tattoos, can you tattoo yourself? It's self-harm or whatever. I don't like that argument. But first of all, what Kyle was saying before, I want to touch on that because Kyle was saying that you don't have the right to force the doctor to do the surgery. I totally agree with that. Very similar to the baker situation, doesn't want to bake cakes for a gay wedding. Same thing. Shouldn't have to be forced to use your knowledge to do what you don't want to do.
Yeah, you accrued the cost to develop those skills, learn those skills. You accrued, the cost of your time, your effort, your labor, the money, right? So at this point, those tools are actually your means of production.
But what about in a situation where you're choosing not to do something, not because you, like, for instance, let's say you're a doctor, like we've talked about, and someone is having kidney problems.
Yeah.
But you don't like their beliefs, like they're Christian, and you're not a Christian, and you think that all Christians are assholes. Does that person have to perform surgery?
So that's a tough one because I want to say yes, right? Because I think it can't. For
Here's
me,
the answer, Kyle. Here's the answer.
Hold on. Okay.
Fine. Go for it.
Okay, so for me, it's the difference between a life-saving surgery and an elective surgery. So self-sterilization is an elective. You choose it. You don't need it. You do have the option of, not having sex, using a condom, all the ones we mentioned before. Whereas something like kidney failure, right? That's something, if you don't do it as a doctor, then that person is going to die, right? And if you are working at the hospital where your job is to save lives, then I think, yeah, do the fucking surgery. Get over your discriminatory ass.
So that's the distinction. The distinction is this an elective surgery or is this
life or death?
Life or death, okay. or maybe just not even elective. Maybe it's just
something
the person's really sick. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what if they caused that sickness? Like, what if they ate themselves into obesity and now they're having diabetic and their legs are falling off?
And that was my point about legislating self-harm.
Guys, let me put this a little clearer. Okay, right? Back up a little bit. We were talking about the doctor who gets to choose who gets what surgery, right? So it's basically, will you do this action for it's will you do this action, not versus who will you do the action for? Are you going to bake are you going to bake a cake for the gay people who are having a wedding, or are you going to bake the wedding cake that says "Happy Gay Wedding"? If you won't bake the wedding cake that says "Happy Gay Wedding," or putting the two dudes on top of it for anybody, regardless of if they're gay, of course the straight people won't do it, but if they're gay, straight, or whatever, then you're not baking that cake regardless. You'll bake something else, but you're not going to do that.
So you're defining the line. You're defining the line of if you refuse to do something that you would otherwise do for someone else, that's crossing the line. But
that's discrimination. That's discrimination.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's discrimination versus not doing something. It's your it's personal choice versus discrimination, right? If you don't want to do a sterilization surgery before the age of 30, that should be your choice as a doctor.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that I don't think it has anything to do with elective or not.
I missed that. I was making coffee.
You should have heard that.
Yeah, no, I don't. I agree with you. I don't think it has to do with elective or not. But then I do agree also with Kyle and his position on if it's elective, you should be able to.
Like if it's not
elective, I think we have to kind of say if you're a doctor and this is not elective surgery. Like, we need to help this person.
Yeah, that is your job. But I don't believe that doing things like plastic surgery or fucking what else? Like plastic surgery, self-sterilization.
Dental, orthodontics,
Yeah.
optometrists.
Yeah, you know what? I got some nasty ass cavities. Let me tell you what, they hurt all the time.
But
I
that
don't
wouldn't
think
be elective. You need to get that taken care of because
That's
that
not
can,
elective, dude.
because
Yes,
that
it
can,
is
that
up
can
here.
affect other
Okay.
health issues.
Up here, that's elective.
fair enough. Like it
Dental,
takes decent care of my
like
teeth.
with cavities is elective.
Yep, it's not
Yeah.
covered.
You guys know that like teeth issues, mouth issues
It can
lead
affect
to
the
other
body.
sicknesses.
You can get a heart attack.
Yeah,
I am aware. I'm of the opinion that like health, dental, and mental health should be added to our care, but I think we also need to be more restrictive. Like, I think people should have to pay for their meds unless they're exorbitantly expensive.
well, you know, my philosophy on that, and you guys can't change my mind, is that if you get rid of the national healthcare stuff, everything drops in price because there's competition. But that's just me.
I mean, I have some seriously twisted views on our healthcare because I saw all of the bad parts of it. Like, my fucking hospital room didn't have a wheelchair accessible bathroom. Do you understand?
But
how fucked
you've got
that
your
is?
legs taken care of, though.
It's true, for free. I got my
So,
and
Yeah.
so,
in your
it's a
country, I
weird
would have been in debt
yeah.
for my whole life. 100% fact.
Yeah, well, even more, and like for me, like my youngest son, he was born 15 weeks early, spent 4 months in the ICU,
He's got a good
Okay.
experience too.
almost died twice, like twice, and they fucking got him all the way through that, and then Holly brought him home. I wasn't allowed to spend any more than 8 hours with him a week at that particular time in my son's life, but that's not important now. So yeah, like, so my son was spent 4 months in the hospital, didn't cost me a cent.
Mm.
Okay.
Mhm.
And frankly, my son is related to me. He's going to grow up to be productive and useful and bring capital and value to the world. My stepdad died in 2012, right? In January, he went down. He went to the hospital with like pancreatitis, where his lungs, kidney, liver, all shut down. He had fluid out of his lungs. They were like, he was on breathing, like he was in the ICU. They called me up and they're like, you need to come down now. He's not going to survive the night. He's just not going to. Right. And then the doctors were able to keep it, like he made it through the night, actually regained consciousness again for like 2 months. And the doctors at the Vancouver General Hospital, like they're some of the best in North America. And they were getting to the point where they were calling people in like England, US, everything, looking for, right? So not only did they keep him alive for that extra 6 months, were we actually able to like say goodbye and face that a little bit less dramatically.
Mhm.
But they made huge, like I'm sure they made huge leaps in like medical treatment options. Because at that point, man, like he wasn't supposed to survive the night. Made it 6 months and like in surgery every 3 days.
Yeah.
So if nothing else, they learned a shit ton from it.
By the way, in the chat, I gotta give a shout out to
Yeah.
Jolly
He had
Roger.
MRSA in his nose.
Yeah, he said he had MRSA in his sinuses. That is insane. As somebody who does MMA and has seen, you know, what's it called, MRSA on the skin,
Fuck, man.
in the sinuses, that's insane.
Yeah, and it's so close to the
It's
brain.
insane.
That's where it'll get you. I mean, that's why it's life and death situation when it gets to the brain.
His
Yeah.
appendix ruptured and he got mono the same year, and he was a freshman. So what age does that make him? 18, 19?
Kid, Brian, I'm sorry to tell you, but comparing the Holocaust, which was mass murder and mass experimentation with no ethics whatsoever, to a healthcare system that while you disagree with, actually does a lot of good.
The Holocaust taught
Yeah,
us
that
about
was-
medical.
you
I
blew-
think World
That's
blew
a
on
false
that one, Brian.
equivalency. That's a false equivalency there, bud.
Blew it on that one, Brian, but
Nice try. Here's the ball. This is you. Here's the ball.
Somebody was
This is
saying
you.
earlier that I gotta scroll up for it, but we're talking about God damn it.
Oh,
right,
yeah.
there it is.
And
Making someone deploy their skills at government gunpoint is tyranny. But what about the draft for the world wars? I think, like, how's that tyranny? It's fighting tyranny. I'm sure it's tyranny on the individual level. It forces them to fight, even if they don't want to. But
who was talking about? It all leads to tyranny and authoritative, like both sides. I can't remember who it was, but both sides leads to the authoritative regime. You know, you have the socialist, quote unquote, for the people, which leads directly to genocide. And what's the other thing? And then you have the fascists, who are those ultra right groups. That same thing.
Okay, first of all, I'm not Israeli, Bedros. So me giving answers on Israeli women being drafted, whatever. I'm American, but I have to see, I've seen it. But I have a lot of opinions on that. First of all, I think that the draft is basically unconstitutional. You're forcing people to fight. It's not right. I do think that if we had the draft, men would be more manly. It would probably be very good. I was in Israel for 2 years. Yeah.
It's
what's called?
unconstitutional.
Israel needs a draft. If Israel didn't have a draft, they'd be overrun. It's fantastic that Israel has a draft, and women's. I don't know if I'm not 100% sure if I agree that women need to be drafted.
I do,
but
I do, man.
Fantastic.
I'm sorry, but equality, man.
But not even just equality to have them on the front lines or anything, but to have them in the military and have that type of training for everybody in the population. You know how like the Mormons do the 2-year mission trip? That's fantastic. Not because
I'm
they're
not saying
going
it's
out.
not helpful. I'm not saying it's not helpful.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I'm not sure I agree with it. I'm just not sure I agree with it.
Okay, so why?
So why? Because women are not men. It's simple as that.
No, that's fair. But they can also do the intelligence work. They can be sharpshooters. Some women are better shots than men. Maybe statistically in the fucking high end of the bell curve, it's all men once you get to the very top. But they can still be sharpshooters. They can still be fighters, even if they're not the ones dragging the guys out.
I 100% agree with you, Kyle.
Well, I understand they can, and I think the voluntary female service is fine. I'm just saying that I don't think they need to be drafted.
See, my issue with that is I'm about applying the same standards to everybody.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not.
No, but because here's the thing: if you want to have an equal society where everybody has the equal opportunity, then you have to have the same standards for that to occur.
Brian asks if we've ever lived in a third world country, and I have. I went and I lived in the Dominican for a few months with my friend, right on the border of Haiti. I saw the cockfights and all that shit, man. I saw the Haitians coming over the border selling their first aid packs to the Dominicans.
What does he mean by we talk about equality?
I don't know. I think he's wasted.
Awesome.
What do you mean? Me talking about equality?
Well, he said we talk about equality. I'm not sure what the reference is to, but I'm talking about.
You're right. It was a long vacation.
I'm not talking about equality of in position. I think that men and women are very different. I think, like Kyle was saying, if you have all people, men or women, go into the military, it's a great experience for them. They shouldn't be doing the same thing. You know, and I might get shit for this, but a lot of women probably would be amazing at, nurses when they're in the military nurses and doctors. Yeah, it's a fantastic position. It's not a weak position. It's not a weak-minded position. It's a very difficult position, and it's probably the most emotionally draining position to be in. So they don't have to be scaling walls. I mean, if they can scale the walls, if they can lift the 300 pounds, then get them involved. Get them there. If they can do the same job, then hell yeah.
And my idea is like fucking play to their strengths. Like if they are good with a fucking rifle, then
Fuck yeah.
put them in there with a
Give
goddamn
him a
rifle.
fucking rifle. Yeah.
If they're
I'm
good,
not saying-
Especially because
I'm not saying
our
that you
current
can't.
military system, especially in the States, our current military system is a lot of drone flying. Like, there's fucking good ass pilots who are females, right? If you're actually the pilot in the plane, you probably want to be a male because men tend to be more narrow focused. And then when a pressure situations, they'll react faster, which is a good thing and bad thing sometimes. But to actually fly the drone or get the intelligence, like Kyle was saying, like get them fucking in there.
Yeah,
I'm
if
not
you're
saying
good at
that
something,
they shouldn't be allowed to. I'm just saying I don't think that they should be forced to. That's it.
why?
We all should be forced to.
Because they're female and they should be allowed to stay home and do whatever they want.
Why?
That sounds weird.
Yeah, but should they get to vote then?
I'm a chauvinist. I'm sorry. I'm very conservative.
No, wait.
Fair enough.
Okay.
But
No,
I'm asking why.
Yeah, why?
They
Yeah.
should be allowed to stay home and make babies. I said it.
Yeah, but then they shouldn't be allowed to vote.
But no.
Can they
wait,
not
no,
make babies
wait, no,
after
what?
the draft?
What is happening right now? First of all, yes, you're right. They should be allowed to stay home and make babies and take care of the kids because they are better at it. But if you're a single woman or male between the ages of 18 to 21, why not get the experience of going into service and see firsthand what's going on and what it takes to protect the nation?
I'm not saying that they shouldn't be allowed. I'm just
much
saying
you
I
wanna
don't
bet?
think they should be forced to.
Hold up.
And as for voting, how do those two cross?
Yeah, I don't see how voting crosses there.
Well, because if they're forced into the draft, then they're equal in that measure. Which means that they would be equal in voting.
they've served the country and earn the right to vote, right? Which I don't necessarily agree with. But as far as like,
I'm kind of with Shia. I don't think they should be drafted like men.
Here's why. Here's another reason you don't like lefties. Well, one of the big things with the lefties is, oh, you can't have a big military. You can't have like give up your guns. Well, once they fucking go out there and they realize, holy shit, there's people out there that want us fucking dead. Like, not even, I'd like to hit you. Like, I want to fucking end you. Once they realize that that's actually a thing, how much you want to bet? Most of the country is going to be like, maybe we should support our troops. Maybe we should give them help when they get back.
I'm still confused how that goes to forcing women to be in the draft.
Because if they go through the military, they get to see what's going on. They're forced into reality. That's the
in
thing
Israel.
that I think
In Israel, I
kids are
promise
missing.
you. I promise you, in Israel, they don't need to go to the draft to see the reality.
Because they're in a place that's actually hostile against them. They're surrounded by a group of countries that are hostile against them. If you look at Canada, north of us is a fucking barren wasteland that nothing survives except for some scientists.
He's talking about Russia.
And right? And then down south is our closest ally and fucking frankly biggest defender. On either side of us is water for days. Like, we are so insulated in both of our countries from an actual hostile force wanting to kill us, who fucking hate us. Man, we don't have that experience. If you're gonna put people into the military, like force people into the military, then you know what? Yeah, everyone, because then you get to realize, hey, there's people out there that actually want us dead. And these soldiers who are out there fucking defending us, they're actually doing a good thing. Not like these fucking feminazi Twitter fucks who are calling them fucking scumbags for their service.
But
it comes down to getting the perspective that you need to truly appreciate it. It's like you can't truly appreciate a good day until you've had the day that you feel like you're about to fucking break.
We can switch the military out with the fire brigade because that's how it used to be. There used to be forced enlistment. If a fire started, all the men had to go fight the fire. And they didn't have a nice fire truck.
The water buckets.
They had the bucket, and they ran and because they were the expendable ones, and they were the ones going in, and that's why they got to vote. And when women wanted to start voting, the men were like, okay, you guys can vote, but you have to serve in the fire brigades. And women were like, we'll hold off on this for a couple hundred years. Pump the brakes. We don't want to do that. So if you switch out the draft into the military for a draft into the fire brigade, then do we agree? I think that we shouldn't include women.
Well, I think
no, I don't.
That in my mindset, I'll speak for myself. I wasn't thinking of it as women being in the same positions as the males.
No, just
if they are geared to do it, fine. And
but you have to do the service.
But you have to do some type of service in order to see the like. I'm a big proponent of not forcing legislation, but forcing reality. So if we can show people, if we can walk someone through reality so that they wake the fuck up, it's a nice thing.
You would have less lefties.
Yeah, you
would.
Simple
as that.
You would have to.
You would have no choice but to accept the fact that there's people out there who's trying to kill us, and you need the big fucking alpha males who are gonna fucking stand up and be like, no.
Right.
Right?
Kiwi says New Zealand was the first country to allow women to vote. That's because there were like 3 women.
Boy, were they busy.
Brian says that there'll never be another draft. I think I agree. I don't think they could pull that off.
I strongly disagree. If shit really was to hit the fan between Russia and the U.S., or actually no, Russia and the U.S., because they're the only two forces that dislike each other who would really fucking get things going.
But why would they have to draft people? They'd just be shooting nukes. Like, that involves no humans.
You're not going to start with that. The nukes really are. The nukes really are the last ditch. They're the last ditch because I am
a reasonable human or a leader of a nation would not use a nuclear weapons. They would do everything they could to prevent doing that.
Now, if you're talking, if you're talking, like even Putin, he is a reasonable guy. He's scary as fuck. Maybe not the best thing for Russia, just a little bit.
Why did YouTube delete the word Vikings? There was the word Vikings between the and had. It was there. Fuck YouTube.
Wait, what? What the fuck just happened?
YouTube randomly deletes fucking a word out of my sentence at random.
Who does that?
YouTube. Look, he wrote Jolly Roger had a good point. The had tons of women, even in the raiding longships. He actually wrote the Vikings had tons.
But as soon as I hit enter, Vikings just goes away. It's like I try to type J and it always comes out and J. Hit it again. Fucking Vikings good.
Wait 1 second. Did you just try to write that again?
Yeah, and it had PB. I figured out how to do it though. I just have to type in PB like 4 or 5 times. PB, and J. There you go. It deleted like 5 PBs.
Your YouTube is retarded,
what?
Dude.
I don't get it.
I don't either. I don't know what the fuck.
You're being censored, bro.
It's not even just a day. It's like it's been happening for days.
But why can't you write PB?
I know. It makes no sense. Well, and like at first I thought it was just the first word of the sentence because PB comes at the beginning, but that time it took Vikings out of the fucking middle of a sentence. I'm just done. I don't know.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I got derailed. What were we talking about? Oh, well, I wanted to talk about Vikings because somebody said Vikings gave fucking women a lot of sway, and that's true. Fucking the Vikings had women in those raiding parties.
And they also raped everybody, so...
They also raped everybody, but hell, maybe the women did too.
That's why all of us are part Mongolian. All of us.
You know how
that's why there are so many blue-eyed, blonde-haired Irish people.
Oh.
Yeah, like it just comes down to having, because it's like you don't know what you don't know until you know that you don't know it.
Totally, what he just said.
So that's why you need to, if you're gonna apply a standard to somebody, then you have to apply that standard to everybody, especially if we are all equal, right? To have the right to choose as we see fit. That's why if you're gonna have a draft, it's just everybody serves their time. They do something in it, but it's
Well,
not.
Yes and no. I mean, you don't have to. I mean, I agree with you, obviously, but you don't have to have everybody do it. You could have the women not do it, but then the women have to be on board with the responsibilities that they will have.
Yeah.
So you can't have both things happening simultaneously. You can't have women being angry that their position is to take care of the rearing of the kids and the household and the culture of the family at the same time. Like, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
I agree with you. This is why I think there shouldn't be a draft for the women, because the women and men don't have the same. We're not the same.
Well, and look what happened in World War II. We left all the women at home, and now we have feminism.
You have to get the leader of the women. I just sound so fucking stupid now, but the leader of the women.
We must speak to the leader of the women.
The leader of the women's groups, or whatever it is, the majority of the females have to say, okay, we are going to give up X so that we can do Y. And that's it. So if they're saying we're going to give up going to the draft, great. Okay, we'll give you that. You don't go to the draft. But in order to still serve your country, or at least your family, you have to do Y. You have to concede to doing working on the area that is left out. That's like any good marriage. So if we're like amplifying what marriage is, if the guy is going to be the guy who takes the garbage out every single time, then the woman has to be the woman who does the dishes every time. If they're going to share those responsibilities, then they're going to share their responsibilities. So they're all going to the draft. If they're not going to share the responsibilities, they're not all going to the draft, then the women have to take on some other responsibility.
Well, in World War II, they did. In World War II, they stayed home and they built the planes, they built everything.
Yeah, Bedros, you are wrong. Feminism didn't come from Europe; it came from America. Because while the women at home in America took on all the factory jobs, as soon as the men came back, the women were like, "Well, we know we can do this, so here it comes," and that's how it started. It wasn't Europe.
Well, there was.
Was that the second wave
before that? No.
Was that second wave feminism? Because first wave feminism was really more focused on just the right to vote, right?
Suffrage, yeah.
It was women's suffrage, yeah. It was
by the way, that was pre-World War II. That was pre-World War II.
Right.
Yeah.
So then
maybe I'm talking about second wave.
So yeah, I think you're talking about second wave, and second wave was not necessarily a bad thing either, in the sense that
second wave was hippies.
The time frame is the baby boomers.
Dude,
that's what we're talking about.
Second wave was hippies, dude.
The hippies and the free love movement and the
right. It was not the women from World War II. The women from World War II, when the husbands came home, they went home, had kids. That's what they did. That's why we had a baby boom.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't complain about it.
At that point, they'd been so long without the dick, they're just like thirsty. But
yeah. So I mean, that is pretty fucked up if you think about it. How more than an entire generation of people, from what everybody pretty much would agree are all the most advanced countries, all wiped themselves out. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, they didn't wipe themselves out, but they certainly put some dents in themselves.
Right?
Well, it goes back to the whole idea of Sodom and Gomorrah, that type of thing, where it's, they start living into a point of, Owen says, good societies produce weak men. Hard societies produce strong men. So there's this flux of things get too...
The pendulum swings.
Yeah, the pendulum swings. And I don't know about you guys, but all my life I heard history repeats itself, history repeats itself, history repeats itself. So I'm sitting there going, how the fuck does history repeat itself? The technology we have today compared to the technology we had back then doesn't make any sense. But if you think about it,
it really does.
It really does. And how we think and how our societies rotate seems to do that.
This is the way that I kind of look at, or it's a quote or a paraphrasing of the quote that I heard once upon a time. Is that history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good quote.
Right.
Yeah,
So
it's not like it goes in a circle and meets itself at the end. It's a spiral. It goes on and on,
Mm-hmm.
so
comes close.
so like
I'm with Kiwi. I think that fucking Ronda Rousey could beat up LeBron if LeBron didn't land a good hit. If LeBron landed a good hit, Rousey's
Hell
fucked.
no, bro.
Dude, she's got all that jujitsu.
no.
It's designed for a small person against a big person.
No. Have you ever run into a guy who is 6'6"?
Dude,
Oh,
LeBron
I mean, I
James.
could, but I'm not Ronda Rousey.
LeBron James
Ronda
would crack
Rousey-
Ronda Rousey in half.
Dude, and she can get like 20 blows on him, and he'd still knock her out.
Dude, it has nothing to it has nothing to do with skill level. First of all, he's so much bigger.
that's why they have weight classes.
Yeah, that's why they have
And
weight
he also
classes,
has, I don't know, 600 times the amount of testosterone she has.
Yeah, I mean, he's
so much
stronger and bigger and faster. I get that, but technically, I think she has an advantage just because of all the things she knows.
Advantage, man. Like technical skill only
She doesn't
gets
have it.
fuck.
She
It-
still
it
doesn't have
gets
an
you-
advantage.
Hell of a lot further than brute strength.
Have you ever wrestled with a child? Like, they could have all the technique in the world, and they can't even move you.
Yeah,
Well,
dude.
I don't know any children that are Ronda
I can
Rousey
literally
level
fight
MMA.
children.
I do.
All day.
I do.
Not get tired. I just kick them. Like
Dude, I know kids who have I know kids who are really good at fighting. They might not be Ronda Rousey level, but they're great, and they'll beat up all the other kids. The problem is, I don't need to do anything. I don't need to fight. All I need to do is stand there, let them hit me, and go like this.
Yep.
Just push them. It has nothing to do with. It has nothing to do with technique.
Dude, I was a great college athlete. I was a great college athlete. And I have buddies who are
130 pounds, 160 pounds of muscle.
and I couldn't do anything about them with it. I couldn't do anything. If a person is just that much bigger than you, you're done. There's nothing you can do.
Dude,
And he's an elite athlete.
I don't care about being an elite athlete. That means almost nothing. He's just huge. He's way bigger than her.
Yeah, fair enough.
And she got beat by another female her same size.
Oh my god! And
Yeah, but that's technique versus technique.
Okay.
Trust me.
Ronda Rousey would not win.
No.
I mean,
She
she
wouldn't
would
even-
like to kick my ass, but I'm kind of a
Maybe
bitch.
you.
Totally honest with you. So
Maybe you and not gay Jared.
Dude,
If she got a good blow on me, yeah, she'd knock me out too. So
oh, probably, man. She kicked me in the head. I'd be down, guaranteed.
yeah, guaranteed.
I cannot take a kick to the head. I have to take today and tomorrow off from jiu-jitsu because I fucked up my neck. I got stuck on the floor this weekend.
dude, everybody arguing in the chat about this. Trust me, I have a lot of experience fighting. I've been training for 8 years now. It would not matter. It wouldn't matter. I have a guy in my gym who has no technique, but he swings his hand and it hits you, and it feels like a truck hit you.
Yeah,
Because he's 250 pounds and he's 6'7".
yeah, you're right.
It has nothing to do with the side. She can shoot outside the paint. That's great. That's hilarious. I love it. But
I'm so confused by Island Bear's question. Who's the oldest lady I've fought? I don't know how many old ladies you fight, Island Bear, but if they're getting to a point where you have to figure out which one's the oldest, I think you have a problem, bro.
You should stop fighting women.
You should stop picking fight with women, and especially old ones.
There's bigger challenges to be challenged.
Oh my.
You can do it. Fight a Helga.
and by the way, this is not like the argument where Ronda Rousey fights Floyd Mayweather, where Floyd Mayweather weighs exactly the same, if not less than her.
But they both are
talking
extremely skilled fighters.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
Floyd kicks her butt too.
Unfortunately, I'm not 100% sure about that because she's actually.
You cannot account for the testosterone difference, dude.
Floyd would beat the shit out of her.
Difference. What I'm accounting for is size. The fact that
the average female versus the average male
you just
in
called
testosterone.
all of your fighting credentials into question because
No,
you
I
just
didn't.
said that.
I didn't.
Yes, you did. You
Because
said that
Floyd-
Ronda could beat Floyd. Floyd beat fucking Conor McGregor. Although I
Floyd
guess that
beat
wasn't
Conor
MMA.
McGregor.
That wasn't
If
MMA.
Conor McGregor had been allowed to use one foot for
I
kicking,
agree. I think you're right.
it wouldn't
Yeah.
have mattered. It would. No, everything else wouldn't have mattered because he could have kept distance. It wouldn't have mattered.
But that's kind of the same argument about fucking LeBron James. He doesn't know MMA.
But it does come
As
down
I
to
just said, the distance. As I just said, distance.
It doesn't matter if she puts him in an armbar if he can pick her up and slam her on the ground with that arm.
Maybe,
Right.
Yeah, that's
Right.
true.
Floyd Mayweather can't do that. There's a difference between
Fair
LeBron
point.
James and Floyd Mayweather.
Fair point.
Okay, again, average testosterone in men range from 270 to 1070.
We're testosterone.
Average
We're
testosterone.
not talking about testosterone here. We're talking about muscle
But
mass.
it's so important in females.
Yeah,
Testosterone
McGregor was
is-
impressive in that
Dude,
boxing fight.
It's
Testosterone is for
15 to
recovery.
70.
Testosterone is for recovery and
That's
for
10 times. It's 10 times. It has everything to do with muscle growth and mass and ability. It's a huge difference. It means everything. It's just the same comment you made about the size of a 6'6" guy or a
It's not.
6'7" guy
It's
versus.
not the same. I've trained with
Oh.
women my size. I've trained with women my size, and I've trained with guys way bigger than me. There's a huge difference. Women your size who know what they're doing can fight. They might not be as good as you, and they might not be as fast as you. But if they are a black belt level and you are a white belt level, they'll take you down.
The
Even
strength
if
difference is so intense,
no,
dude.
dude, I am a way better striker than some of these women. But a girl who really, really knows how to use jujitsu and take you down, who is your size, not somebody tiny, because the tiny girls are easy to push away. But the girl who is your size will take you down.
Yeah.
She is better than you, and she will submit you. Even if you're a good striker.
Mm-hmm.
Because when they're your size, then it does actually come down to technique.
Right.
Like, and that is actually why they have weight classes.
I heard your comment is funny, man.
Okay, so, but was that 70-year-old lady like training since forever? Because I think at some point when you're a 70-year-old lady who's been training since she was like 12, you probably know a thing or six.
Dude, they're saying Mike Tyson would beat Floyd Mayweather. I'm not sure about that, but I definitely think Muhammad Ali would beat both of them at the same time.
Mike Tyson would beat all of them.
Better.
All of them in the youth.
There's no way Mike Tyson would beat Muhammad Ali.
Mike in his prime would beat all of them.
Okay,
Muhammad
you're
Ali
why?
was way
It's
bigger.
okay.
Because it would take a couple hits. Because his
Your
strike
problem,
was so good, dude.
your problem there is that Muhammad Ali didn't let himself get hit.
That's true.
That's why he was so great.
And he was
But if
bigger
he
than
did-
Mike Tyson. He was way bigger.
Yeah, he's not bigger, but taller and longer.
Taller.
Taller and longer.
I think
They're
Mike
saying
would beat
Tyson
Ali.
would
too.
beat
Yeah, I'd
Ali.
fight you.
I think he would.
I think Tyson could beat Ali.
Mike was
Australia,
so quick and it's so powerful.
Not the
His strike
environment
was
that tries to kill you,
so
but all the
quick
bugs
so
and animals
powerful.
and shit. So
I think
But you're
Tyson
right, Ali
could have
would
beat
have
Ali.
won. Ali
I
was a
think he
good
could have
rope
beat Ali.
doper.
I don't
My
think he
dad
would've.
can beat up your dad.
By the way, that is the greatest argument ever. I'm not kidding. Like, that was the argument used when you were a little kid. It was the greatest
one
argument.
punch.
My
Yeah.
dad
My
would
dad
beat
can
up
beat
your
up your
dad.
And, like, if
older
it's
I agree with
true,
you, bro.
or it had happened and you knew about it, oh man, you had power. So, anyways, back to the whole libertarian thing.
Oh yeah, we got so rabbit hole.
Literally.
We're somewhere else.
I love these chats because we just like end up somewhere totally different.
That don't matter.
All right, Michael Jordan versus LeBron James. 1-on-1, who wins?
So, yeah, I don't actually have a good segue back into it now that I think about it.
I think there's a funny joke about this where because I was just thinking we should get a time machine to put Tyson against versus Ali, but Owen Benjamin had this great joke about how maybe Hitler hated Jews because of all the Jewish time travelers going back and kicking him in the nuts.
By the way, I love that joke. It is fantastic.
Isn't that great?
So good.
It's a great joke.
Just 1 millisecond before each other. Just fuck, man. He would never see it coming. He would just be slightly angry the whole time.
Good grief.
Well, then.
Libertarianism.
Libertarianism. Yeah, I don't think anybody should be able to tell me what I can do with my own body. But I don't think that I have the right to force people to do shit.
Okay, so then it gets back to
thoroughly conflicted
self-harm.
with taxes. Thoroughly.
Self-harm.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of the question with universal healthcare. If you support a system of universal healthcare, then you should support an equally universal system that makes sure everybody can't fuck themselves up. You can't live an unhealthy life.
Agree, right? Well, isn't that what HMOs were for? HMOs were kind of created to preventative medicine.
What's an HMO?
Gosh, I forget the acronym, but
the healthcare.
It's a healthcare program.
Like in the States?
Yeah. So that we have PPOs, we have HMOs, and the HMO is like you get assigned basically a healthcare specialist, and you have to go to that specialist because they know you and they know your medical history. And one of their jobs is you go in for like annual visits, and their job is to make sure that you have a proper diet, you're being taking care of yourself. Let's see what it stands for real quickly.
So the whole like libertarian part of me is super conflicted with that whole like I agree with healthcare programs. I think we should fund a military, and I think infrastructure maybe. I don't know.
Sewers are nice.
Sewers
I like that we don't shit in the roads.
That would be ideal, wouldn't it? I'd rather not shit on a street.
Remember, it's 3 S's to me. This is why I can't put healthcare in there: security, structure, sanitation. That's it.
Why? What do you mean by structure?
Streets, yeah. Light bulbs, highways, stuff like that.
Nah, because people will take care of that themselves.
But they don't.
And the city too.
And if the government does it, it reduces like car accidents and damage to vehicles and that type of stuff too.
Yeah, because it's a lot easier. It's better if the government takes care of the streets. It's better like that. But that's about it. You don't want the security. They have police. They take care of the light bulbs and everything, and then they.
That's as far as federal government. That's your belief on federal government?
No, hell no.
All government?
That's my belief on general belief on government, right? So it's all government put together.
So I'm with you, just with healthcare added. I don't think it's a wealth redistribution thing, at all. That's where I take issue with it. I don't think you should be funding businesses. That drives me nuts. The fact that they subsidize anything is ridiculous. My opinion is, if you can't run your business off the merits of itself, you should have no business running that business.
Well, they bailed out the banks.
Yeah, and that's a huge issue for me. I don't think they should have fucking done that. That's not what a government's for.
It's because they're all fucking in the pocket.
But that's what I'm saying.
But didn't you guys in Canada have, or don't you have a central bank?
Yes.
That's some shit right there.
So,
dude, Canada's fucked. We all know.
Canada's got some issues. I'm noticing. I really don't like our new government at all. They're just fucking greasy.
People kind.
Brian's agreeing with me now. Brian's on my side. He's talking about the robot healers and the robot kitchens. Fuck yeah, man. It's coming. It's coming, man.
Not like Greg Gutfeld, dude. I just want to know the robots. Once the robots take over, I want them to know that I always was on their side.
Dude, that is honestly the part of that conversation where it gets dark. Because as soon as the robots have that much power, they're just going to wipe us out.
That's why you don't have them having the power.
That's why Elon Musk's sending out fucking flamethrowers left, right, and center. Because bullets are useless against a robot, but if you can torch that motherfucker, it's got no wiring. I'm pretty sure that's part of it, man. This sounds like a crazy conspiracy theory, but what else is a flamethrower for? Like, it's not a great tactical weapon unless you're fighting something that's made of plastic.
Jolly Rogers just started saying, like, once again, socialism only works in fantasy. And I agree with you, but I don't think healthcare is any different than the military.
Cooking. There's a good point. You can cook with a flamethrower.
You don't think healthcare is any different than the military?
As far as services of the government, no. Like,
here's the thing. Remember when we talked about doctors not having to do certain things?
Yeah.
If you're a doctor and you have a socialized healthcare system, you are basically a slave to that system. You have to do what the government asks you to do. That's what all governmental positions do. That's why. Okay, do you guys remember hearing about the case of the woman when gay marriage went legal in the United States? There was a woman, I forget where she was at, but she said she refused to give a license to a gay couple.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
Well,
she was an idiot.
I'm a Christian person, and I understand, and I truly believe in the freedom of religion and the freedom to practice your religion. But because she was a state employee, I disagreed with her because she needed to quit that position at that point, because if you're in a government job, you have to do what the government has.
Yeah, but that's
to
the same. Here's my argument against it, though, is her having to leave her job is reasonable, because I also expect that a company can run itself how it so chooses and the policies that it mandates. You don't have to work at that government agency.
Shit in the streets. It's
right.
the only answer.
But that's my point. She doesn't have to work in that government agency. But if the government owns all the agencies, then she could no longer be that position. Or conversely, or comparatively, what I'm trying to say is you no longer get to be a doctor because you have to do what the state is asking you to do if the state runs the health services.
That's a good point.
So for me, it's like that's where it starts being slavery.
Yeah, and
that's why socialism is not, any social program is no longer free will. That's why the free market is free will.
So
socialism is slavery.
So by that margin, then you could compare military as a socialist program. Realistically, you could, because the soldiers have to do what they're ordered to, right? So how is it any different?
So it's a military.
That doesn't matter. You're talking about a job. Ultimately, it's the job of protecting the country, right? In comparison to
that
the
to me
job
is
being the job to save lives, right?
Kind of, but it's the military is specific to, if you want to be in the military, your job is to protect the country.
Yes.
So
guys.
You're literally signing up to do that job.
Yes.
If you become a doctor, you're not signing up to serve the country. You're signing up to actually help people.
Yeah.
Guys, the difference is that the military trains the soldiers versus this doctor who has to go pay for medical school. So if you want the government to go start paying for medical school, sure. But unless the government's paying for medical school,
that's a good way to see it.
I'm not entirely convinced that a doctor couldn't be trained from ground up through a hospital.
He might be able to, and if you want,
I think if that was run like an apprenticeship as opposed to
Yeah, but then you get to the point where you realize it's like the most bloated bureaucracy of these top-heavy cunts that just care about where they're at in power. It's just
and that's the other
dominance hierarchy, man.
No, but that's a good point, because that's the other side of the spectrum. Then we're assuming that the government could do it better than the free market. So you're right. I'm agreeing with you. So basically, if the hospitals were run by the government and the hospitals trained the citizens in order to become doctors and they paid for the whole process, then that's fine. But we're also assuming that the government has a better ability to train physicians than the free market would.
Then why do we not have our military operate the same as the free market?
Because the government is the best at directing the military, training them, and then serving their purpose.
Okay, but if the purpose is defense,
right?
Like, I'm sure that people can say, "Hey, we got an issue," right? So, what's the difference between a business looking out?
Well, last stream, my comment on that was the military being synonymous with the government makes sense because you want them to have very specific loyalty to that government. But if you do outside hires or you have a militia, that's a paid militia, then
exactly like a lot of places in Africa. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's just my perspective on it. And that's why I think that the medical profession, the doctors and everything should not be run by government. I don't think they should.
Okay.
Well, I think what you're saying is that you don't think that they could do it better.
I don't think they could do it better, and but you're right. Well,
that leads me to the question of, if you don't trust them to handle the healthcare and give us the relevant information that we need, or the services, like when you join the military, you just have to do the thing. But we do treat hospitals as private businesses.
They are.
Right? They are private businesses.
Yeah.
Well, they are, but they should be completely privatized.
Again, we're talking about,
or not. Like
I think we go back to my point.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah,
we have to go back to my point. Either if the government if you want doctors to work for the government, then the government has to pay to train them. It's not right that a doctor goes through 12 years of school. This is not like First of all, this is not like any other.
I do disagree with you though, because they do make a large enough income in Canada that they pay the student loans off within 10 years, and they're not, especially if they don't live stupidly, like outside of their means, they make a good amount of money, man.
Plus, the reason it's the way it is intentional. They don't want anybody to be able to be a doctor. They want only the most competitive and the most high achieving people to be doctors.
You know what? So do I.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man.
No, but the problem.
I don't really see what is related to getting good marks and taking care of people. I think that those people are in two different categories.
Biology. When you're talking about the things like biology and how the drugs work and interact with your system, you want the people who are able to retain the most information, be able to find the answers quicker, and be just better. You know what?
Like Brian says, he wants a doctor that is willing to go through hell to be a doctor.
Okay, but but I don't think that's not my counterpoint to that. Is simply we want them to have the freedom to do, as Kyle said, and reject elective surgeries.
Yeah.
If the government is going to put their hand in there and dictate what you can and can't or have to do, then they should take care of the entire thing.
See, that's where I disagree. I don't think they should be allowed to stop you from having an elective surgery.
Well, yeah,
dude, the government
Wait, you don't think they should be able to stop you? Yeah, no, I think all of us agree with that sentiment.
Well, if the government is funding the surgery, then they definitely should be allowed to stop you from having elective surgery because that's taxpayer money paying for your elective surgery. That's
Exactly. Yeah.
that they definitely should be allowed to stop you from having elective surgery. If the government is not paying for it, then you can do whatever the heck you want. The whole thing with elective surgery was the doctor choosing not to do the elective surgery.
A lot of
Yeah,
those books behind me are copies of the same copy. I just buy them from thrift stores when I see them. So yes, although there are a bunch in there I haven't read yet. There's this one you guys might like. See that?
Nice, Stephen Mullen. Cool.
That's number 2 on the list.
Nice.
Haven't read that yet. I'm excited to.
That man puts up a good argument. I disagree with quite a bit.
Oh yeah, no, I don't agree with everything he says, but I like the way he says it.
Not the facts that he presents, but
The way he does it, perfect.
Yeah, I disagree with his conclusions, not with his facts.
Well, you can't disagree with facts. That makes no sense.
Yeah, well, that's just it. Like I can't really argue against him too well right now because, quite frankly, I am not nearly as good as an arguer as he is, debater.
I agree with Brian. Why can a woman get an abortion, but he can't smoke crack? It's fucking bullshit.
I actually agree with that. I think that drug management would be better dealt with through education and instead of punishment, because I don't think punishment works. Why? Because drugs are illegal. It is illegal to own them. And
honestly,
there's a penalty for it, and people do it anyways.
Gabriel's saying read, it provides you an advantage. Honestly, the reason I go out and I buy so many books is because I see people online talking about going and fucking mulching books and using them as like bark mulch in gardens, and I think that's just a horrifying thing to hear. Well, because they think there's no reason to have a book because everybody has a Kindle now, and I'm like, no. That's fucked, man. So I go out and I get as many cheap books as I can. They're like the only possessions.
Yeah, Portugal legalized everything. I think Uruguay did as well.
Yeah, maybe Portugal had a very good result with that.
We did have
everything.
Conservative
Rob Ford in Toronto.
Premier. His name was Rob Ford, and he's one of these oddballs because he actually did amazing things for that province. High on crack
and cocaine.
Rob Ford is possibly the funniest government official ever in history.
Right?
It's funny because he's actually pretty Canadian.
He's dead now.
No, what? He's dead?
Yep.
Dude. Rob Ford's dead.
Yeah, did amazing things. And then it went to shit, man.
I'm pretty sure he died of like a heart attack or something.
Same here. I'm pretty sure.
Psychedelics.
I don't think we're saying we like crack, but we think people should have the right to do it.
Risk reward. That's my opinion.
Here's my view on drugs. Okay, it's similar to my view on abortion. I am pro-life, right? Pro-choice, but anti-abortion. So I think people have the choice, but I don't think that I have. Like
I don't want to do it.
Okay, but that's not even the debate anymore. Now the debate is when is too late.
Sentience.
Oh my God.
In my mind, if it can feel its demise, if it can suffer through its demise.
That's the biggest debate, though, right now. Right?
Well, I don't know, man. I don't think anybody should have an abortion. I think as soon as you get pregnant, you should have a baby. What'd you say, Bearju?
Rob Ford died from fat cancer.
Nice.
I'm not joking. He actually died from fat cancer.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to smoke crack, but I think that I want it not to be illegal because I don't think that there should be any sort of laws related to that area of life. Yeah. I don't think there should be many in most areas. We had a question earlier about what we disagree with about Stefan Molyneux. So you go, Kyle. What do you disagree with on his stances? Because I think we agree.
I honestly can't think of anything on that.
I just don't buy the racial IQ shit. I don't buy that.
I think he's hanging out too much in the extremes.
Racial IQ doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, exactly. Like that. I think that's the one. I don't agree with like how impactful the differences are, because the averages, they're still all about the same. It's just in the extremes, right? And so that's where I'm like, yeah.
Island Bear just said he overdosed on shrooms, which is just like, what? You can't overdose and still be here, bud.
I think you can.
You can overdose and not die?
Yeah.
Yeah, you
as long as you get proper treatment.
Brought back.
Yeah, but I'm not sure you can overdose on shrooms. I don't think that's possible.
I think you get really sick long before then.
Yeah, I'm not sure you can.
Like,
I'm sure you
pot.
can.
You will never overdose on pot. Never.
Not possible.
You will give up from a sore throat long before you fucking.
Well, you can overdose on smoke inhalation and then not be able to breathe.
Good luck.
Yeah,
I know. I mean, the likelihood is basically zero. But I knew a couple that were smoking and drinking, and they passed out at the back of a boat, and she died, and he survived. But they both breathed in the boat fumes, exhaust fumes.
Yeah, you can die in a forest fire. And a house.
Definitely, you can die in a forest fire. That's true.
Of course you can.
What? How does that work here?
What do you mean?
you can die from smoke inhalation in a forest fire.
Smoke inhalation, right? Smoke inhalation.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the same as how you overdose on weed. You just
But
have no
on
oxygen.
the topic of drugs, like the easy answer is just to say, yeah, it should be legal. But the problem is the same problem of people who overeat and get diabetes because of overeating, not because they had it genetically. So self-harm becomes an immediate issue because it affects everybody. If I go into an insurance company and 50% of the people in that same insurance company keep on wrecking their cars and my insurance goes up, that's a problem, right? So legalizing drugs, it's a double-edged sword, because on one hand, you can increase regulation on those drugs. You can have people producing drugs that are professionals. So like when you buy your drugs, you're not buying it from some dude at a club. It could be laced with anything, you don't know. So there's those positives. The negatives are obviously the potential increase of other issues. Like, for instance, I think it was in Colorado, it was the first place they legalized marijuana, and there's been some negative ramifications of that. And maybe those negative ramifications are only more teenagers are smoking weed. Well, if you've ever been around teenagers, you know that teenagers who smoke weed have a different personality than their counterparts. And that different personality could be fine. They could be getting by. They could be doing whatever it is. But it has a overall negative effect. It really does. And I have a couple stories about it, but I'm not going to bore you with the details. But go ahead.
So are you going to make overeating illegal?
I'm not going to make anything illegal. I'm not saying I have a strong opinion. I'm saying that.
Yeah, but should you?
But yeah,
should you make it illegal to make yourself unhealthy?
First of all,
right?
Teenagers should not be allowed to smoke
Should we
pot.
put a tax? Should we put a tax on big gulps? No, I don't think so.
Right.
Because
that's my point.
Yeah.
If you're like that overeating is just as deadly as fucking drugs are. I mean, there's varying degrees.
That may be true. It may be just as deadly, but it doesn't change your personality.
Oh yeah. You ever meet somebody who's?
Oh, I guess so. They're more lethargic than it is. But
somebody who's active, like totally different personality, man. The people who are active tend to be much happier.
Kiwi brought up a good point. Alcohol.
Yeah,
Alcohol is basically government supported. Meanwhile, you can go into withdrawal on alcohol and fucking literally die from the hangover.
It's true.
Do not take my alcohol away from you. From me.
No, and we're not gonna. But
no,
like there's just a pretty clear tie.
And alcohol is worse than pot for you. So,
but is it worse?
100%.
Is it worse than crack?
No, not by a long shot.
It might be close.
But
So,
again,
I mean,
I don't think that I have the right to dictate what you put into your own body. Now, I will say
it's not about what the adult puts into their body. It's about what the pre-developed young person puts in their body because it's accepted by society.
Well, it's just looking at it in a different way.
Like,
it's looking at it in a different aspect. Like, we got a recommendation to read some book about how vices are not a crime. And I mean, like, that's what the Portugal people are saying. They're saying, look at it as some sort of health issue where we're going to treat you for this and not criminalize you. And it worked.
Yeah, like when you treat it as a healthcare issue, it's far more effective for one, and for two, like, for fuck's sake, never mind. Go ahead.
I would just say that it's just not as simple as we'd like to make it. If all drugs are legalized, then the chances that a person who can't make that decision will stumble upon them increases. So how we account for that, I don't know, but it's just something we need to take into consideration.
If all drugs are legal, your overdose death goes way up.
Call the weak, I guess.
But that's the thing. The weak are not necessarily, and I don't mean it like the weak are not necessarily the weak. Sometimes they're the misguided. And being around young people as much as I am, that's why I'm such I am so aggravated about this whole transgender thing. It's infuriating because we all know, because we were kids once, and thank God that we had some type of parent or influence on us that kept us away from doing something that was going to be permanent. But these kids
speak for yourself.
These kids don't have it. They just don't have it.
Yeah, I mean, like, the transgenderism is something that I think united a lot of people because, I mean, it's cross-generational because your generation was prepared for it because everybody told you about all the bad shit, and mine was left open to experience the negative consequences. And so we both came to the same place, but by different ways, you know? Like, I fucking brushed into that shit. That's a rabid dog that'll bite you and fucking not let go. That is a terrible, terrible group of people you do not want to brush into. But nobody says that, you know? That's a completely unspoken opinion these days, especially among young people.
Well, yeah, like, you can't. You get just blasted for even just make. It's
pretty crazy.
Why do you think that? Why do you come up with that idea?
I talk to my little cousins, like my 12-year-old and 13-year-old cousins, and I try to tell them about it. And I'm like, you should keep in mind that some of these stereotypes exist because people spent a long time learning, but they just disregard it all. They think everybody's equal and all that shit, you know, the left dream. And also we were able to, you know, it started a long time ago, but we demonized the parent and we definitely demonized the father. So anything that the parent says or the father says is, oh, you guys are just old stupids. And that's always been in our society to a degree. But I think it was Owen who was talking about just the father and the figure of the father and just blasting the figure of the father. He's back.
Kyle, don't break your guitar.
I'll try.
Okay, guys. I gotta get out of here. It's 1:30 in the morning.
Well, then.
Well,
you have a good
night. Good night, guys.
Good night.
Night, Bear Jew.
Yeah, but then there's your comment about wisdom. You know, we don't even accept wisdom anymore.
I think that's a generalization.
It is a generalization. It's a total generalization, but it's still true.
I don't know, because people are flocking to Jordan Peterson like mad.
Exactly. And there's a hell of a lot of things that are coming out that are more wise than they've ever been. Like, they have to keep increasing the IQ test every year because people are getting better at IQ tests.
Smarter or wise?
Or better at IQ tests.
Okay, better at taking a test.
I don't know. It's very complicated.
I know it. All of life is so nuanced. My buddies and I used to always talk, and we'd go, "Gosh, life is so complicated and so simple. Like just live a good life. That's that simple." But then there's all those so many nuances, and you can get into these debates and conversations.
My buddy Glenn, he looked at me one day. He goes, "I have one piece of advice for you, Kyle. Don't be an asshole."
That's
Do
it.
that.
You'll be fine.
Just don't be a dick.
I didn't see the Weinstein brothers.
I did watch that. That was pretty. Well, I watched the question.
Good.
I watched the questions. I gotta go back and watch the actual.
Yeah, I gotta watch that. That's on the list. Honestly, I don't even know. I don't even find time to do as much watching podcasts as I'd like to.
There's too many now.
There's just too many. There's so many good ones though.
I know.
It's not like it used to
Between
be like
Rogan and Owen and fucking hardcore history. It's just like there's not enough hours in the day.
And I even like the other ones like roaming millennial.
9 hours away if I drive slow.
Somebody's talking about me?
Yeah, they were
Are you
asking how
driving?
far we live apart. We're about 9 hours away.
We're the Rocky Mountains apart, basically. He was in my town the other day. I saw Kyle yesterday, I think. No.
Yeah.
Day before yesterday.
That's dope.
Saturday.
Yeah, it was pretty dope.
Gotta get Kyle down to Cali.
I gotta get a passport and I gotta pay my rent first. So
yeah. We're
work on that.
we're trapped in Canada up here unless we buy a passport.
Well, it's kind of the way it is anyway.
Donate to
Yeah,
Kyle's
we used to be
Patreon.
like this. We used to be able to travel without a passport to America.
Thoughts on Sam Harris? Pseudo-intellectual cuck. He annoys the shit out of me personally.
But I agree with Sam Harris on the idea that you have to lie to your kids. I think that you do.
Well, we all kind of agree to that. Fucking Santa Claus and shit.
Exactly. Life wouldn't be better if we told them Santa Claus isn't real. That wouldn't be better.
But you don't have to necessarily consider it lying. Like if you guys listen to Jordan Peterson, which you guys do closely, he's talking about. There's a book called Myth and Reality, and it talks all about how mythology, the truth in mythology, and it goes into detail about these stories and how they are real to the culture, how they set the precedent for what you should do, what you shouldn't do. They name things in all these mythologies that they're not necessarily, bless you, events that happen, but they are truisms to the human experience.
Yeah, I'd say that.
Somebody keeps talking about Alberta. Why do you keep talking about Alberta?
Because that's where you live.
How did he know that? And also, he's spelling it wrong. It's Oilberta.
Oilberta. I wish
Mexicans.
I wish we treated all illegal immigrants like Canucks.
Oh, I was saying that somebody said earlier, just do what the Dreamers do and come here uninvited. And then I said, Canadians get deported instantly because we aren't brown.
That's funny.
Dude, that's a fact.
Dude,
I know a bunch of people that got
Dreamer
deported from America.
Tag is such a good marketing scheme, and it's so annoying. Such marketing.
It is great marketing because it's like
it's such good marketing, and you're sitting there going, "Oh my god, Dreamers! We're all fucking Dreamers." Greg Gutfeld said it first, and then the president said it, and so everybody's like, "President had a great line," and I'm like, "Fucking, that wasn't even him."
Did somebody just call Alberta a lesbian? You're wrong, bro. It's the Yukon that's a dyke. Yukon's full of lesbians. And I say that with love. I love those dykes up there.
It's like nothing but bikers up there.
Dude, have you ever been to Whitehorse?
No.
Man, when I lived in Whitehorse, I was roommates with this old lesbian lady, and maybe my my view was skewed because she was lesbian and I met all of her lesbian friends. But I swear to fuck, that town is like half lesbians.
Well, I mean, in a town of like 60,000 people, there's bound to be a couple.
No,
Dude,
it's like a mecca for them. They all migrate there.
I don't know, because there's enough lesbians for a parade in other cities.
That's true. Yeah, but are they just, are they convenient lesbians?
I honestly have not taken the time to ask. If I'm being totally honest with you.
Somebody says stop saying skew. Who's saying skew?
You are.
When did I say skew?
I don't know. Like a second ago, I think.
But what?
Wrong?
I think I said dykes. When did I say skew?
I don't know what that's about.
A boot?
That is probably my favorite Canadian stereotype. All of them.
That's because you do it more than any of the rest of us.
Oh man, my like deep North Canadian friends are like, "You're the most Canadian." I don't even know how to flag. I mean, I have a Canadian Bill of Rights on my wall, and I have the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. I just don't have a frame for it yet.
So, how does C16 affect everybody? Is that even?
It's goddamn fucked. It's fucked, I say.
Is it actually? Has it actually been an issue?
No.
Yeah. Oh man, dude.
West.
Within 3 months, or within a year of it.
It popped up, but it popped up out east. It's confusing to talk about Canada because Canada's almost two different countries. Canada in the west and Canada in the east are completely different things.
Well, because Canada in the east is French, right?
No, well, it's both. But
Yeah,
Canada is insanely populated, and they basically run the government. They take all of the tax money. Like the West, it's nothing like that.
I was up in BC one time. I loved it. It was gorgeous.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
and the water was so fresh, man.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, it's amazing how much the water there tastes different. It's just beautiful.
The best part about doing my
tour
is I get to travel all over BC all the time. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I should just I can come up in the summer for sure. Maybe I'll just do it.
If you're coming to Canada, don't go to BC. BC stands for bring cash. Come to Alberta. It's almost as nice, but it's pretty cheap.
I'll bring cash.
It's cold as fuck. I will warn you. And if you're not a fan of the cold.
Yeah, and I mean, we don't have very many nice big trees, and we don't have very many nice, unfucked rivers and all that.
Mountains.
We have mountains. We just don't have as good mountains.
You have valleys.
We have not as good mountains.
My little experience in Canada was beautiful, and it was foresty, and the water was amazing.
Yeah.
So I can't hate, even though a lot of people are like, it's too cold.
I love the cold. I hate the idea of leaving the cold. I would never want to go to America because it would be less Canadian.
Have you guys seen?
I'm excited to go hit up the States, because there's lots of touring there. I could see a lot of.
Have you guys seen Peterson's video? Is this a drawing of Muhammad?
No.
That thing is intense, dude. It's like almost scary. Like of all the stuff I've listened to of his, I'm like, yeah, this is so dope. What? Oh my gosh, that's such good insight. Man, this guy's profound. I'll go through all those head games. This one, I was like, it gave me the chills, dude. It was freaky as fuck.
I would love New Zealand. I know that.
You guys should watch it after this.
I'm gonna go back to reading the 12 rules.
Me too. In fact, I'm actually I'm super annoyed because the 12 rules is cutting down on my podcast time because you can't listen to a podcast and read a book. It's too many words.
Yeah, that's true. Did you guys see my Twitter post where I had the Crowder mug and then the book and the Bible and some other stuff? And I was like, these are the tools you need. Hella people like that shit. Because it's true. I mean, if you have those weapons, you're going to be all right.
Yeah. I
Yeah, I want to get Maps of Meaning. That's probably a real good book.
How is it, Adele? I hit the lag on this thing.
I heard that you said.
Well, I mean, there's also the lag where she has to type that shit and fix all her typos and all that. So
that's true. I really am hoping to order some of those like beer steins and flasks and everything.
We're not allowed. What we need to do is we need to organize an American bear that'll order a bunch and then ship them to Canadian bears.
I'll do it.
Why aren't we allowed ordering them?
He doesn't ship to Canada. I tried.
What
Why
a
not?
cock.
Right?
Oh, and
Why does he
if you see this, I want you to know you're a cock.
No, I think he just fucking hates Canada.
No. I mean, like, international shipping on something that heavy would obviously suck dick.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'd pay it.
So you guys are dreamers. You're dreaming for those steins.
Island Bear is asking specifically me, what can I do well? What is that referencing? When did I say that I can't do things well? Like, is that a joke or is that like a serious question? I can't read Island
No, what are
Bear's
your skills?
I don't know, but he sounds like he's trolling you because you're tripping on this question.
Exactly. I can't tell if he's trolling me or he's serious. I mean, I got too many skills. That's my main problem. I got more.
Hey, Kiwi, was it a big deal when Sauron invaded New Zealand?
Do you have nunchuck skills, Josh?
No. Well, I mean, I was a contractor. I built houses from the ground up, and then I ended up as a stonemason. So, like,
you have a shit ton of skills then.
I know that. My only problem is I have no venue to use them because after my injury, nobody will fucking hire me.
Damn it.
So
but
then
it'll be great when we have our compound.
Well, I mean, like, honestly, that's what I mean. I got too many skills. I just need somewhere to put them to use.
Hey, not a
I would love to go back into stonemasonry. That was my passion.
American Bears versus Canada Bears.
I think we should start a Canadian Bears thing.
I don't know how many of us there are, man. I know of like 4.
What the fuck is a GC? Oh, a general contractor. That's what I was. I was a general contractor.
It's the slow season in Alberta right now.
Everything is fucked right now for that. Plus, like,
goats.
I walk around on goddamn broken legs. So when I go to be a general contractor, I have to compete with guys that can walk fast, and they can walk fast without getting tired and hurt.
We need to get you one of those. What are those little cart things?
A Segway?
Yeah, Segway, dude.
I thought about that.
So
no, I mean, the WCB retrained me to drive bulldozers and excavators and all the heavy equipment and all that. The only problem with that is that industry kind of looks at a school ticket and they just laugh. Like, I've experienced it in real life. I go and apply for these jobs and these guys are like, that ticket means nothing. Do you have on-the-job experience? And they say no. Well, I mean, I say no, and they're like, yeah, we're going to hire somebody that does. So everything's fucked right now.
It's because of the oil price. The price of oil plummeted, right? And that was
absolutely. And all of the oil companies up here are protesting the NDP because the NDP put out a bunch of new regulations that they don't like, and so the oil companies themselves, like, they just say, well, we're going to slow all the things down. We're going to put this industry on a trickle. It's like a protest against our politics up here. I think Atticus Vale is saying he's from Alberta.
Because I noticed that.
Are you an Albertan?
Like 80, 90 cents max this time of year. It was like $1.12 when I was out there.
Oh, yeah. Alberta gas prices are just through the roof because of the NDP.
Fuck. And I voted for them. I'm sorry.
You guys have 20. You guys have 20 Canadian Bears.
Do we?
That's a lot, man.
I mean, I guess I should have asked Island Bear. He's kind of the registry guy.
Dude, I'm so bummed.
I think no.
The day after I moved to California, I found more Utah Bears. I was so bummed.
I'm with Trevor. I wish that I could come be an illegal in America. I'd fucking do it in a heartbeat, and I'd be armed to the teeth.
So, Proud Boys have chapters. We should do bear chapters.
I agree. I think there should be a bear chapter so that we can regionalize and find the bears around us.
Hashtag not a cult.
Hashtag not a cult.
Not a cult.
It's not. I've always said that. It's a militia, not a cult.
Militia. Oh shit.
Dude, that's
I'll
so
get us in
much
trouble.
better. That is so much better.
We're dreamers.
We love the dreamers, yo.
You're a dreamer.
I don't know what he's
Only
talking
when I
about.
sleep.
What?
I don't know what
Only
he's
when I'm
talking about.
sleeping. Not a cult. Josh, Kyle. Island Bear, I'm feeling left out here, man.
Yeah. Come on, start fucking tagging this Ben Modesty. Modest Ben? I can't fucking remember your YouTube name.
My YouTube's
We're,
been modest.
We're a sleuth. We are a sleuth of bears. Toefield, Alberta. You're not that far from me, Atticus. I'm up in Edmonton. I'm on the north side of Edmonton. I'm gonna
guys
Google
gotta
where
get-
the fuck you
You
are.
guys gotta hook up. Bear tribes, exactly.
Militia bands. Thank you.
God.
That's better. That's so
Homeland's
great.
gonna like tag us.
I don't care.
You don't care.
Exactly. They can't get me in Canada. You're fucked.
All great thinkers were in cults. I wonder
Dude,
if-
you're southeast of me. This fucker is like not at all far from me. That's like a 30-minute drive. Yeah, Island Bear, I don't listen to Gwar. Sorry about it.
Dude, you have got to see them live. They're fucking amazing.
All of those masks.
Oh no, dude, it's full costumes. It's full
Oh, yeah.
costumes and like dramatic. It's dramatic theater to metal. It's like it's some of the best, most ridiculous entertainment I've ever seen in my life, and I would gladly go again. True story. Anyways,
All right.
I think it's about time to call it.
Yeah,
done.
I think we can peter off here.
For
We're
sure, man.
just about at 2 hours here, so
Always a pleasure, gentlemen.
done. It was a pleasure. Tomorrow I'm gonna do a meet the Barretts, so it's gonna be just the female bears. Hopefully, I survive.
I'll jump on and I'll try to get some good questions for you guys to keep it going.
Yeah,
Cool.
we'll be in the chat. And when the fuck are you gonna pick up the goddamn guitar again, Kyle?
I did that today.
You did a live stream today with the request of songs?
Yeah,
Shit, when did I miss that?
around 12,
Fuck.
so 1 o'clock your time.
Well, I mean, we're quitting because it's time, isn't it? I don't know. That wasn't my idea.
We've been doing this for
the
2.5
last 2
hours.
weeks. So I've just recovered, and I'm still missing a little. It's getting smaller, but there's a little section of my voice that I've lost. That I'm just starting to get back. So I'll be doing it during the week again from now on.
All right.
Unless-
Well,
Unless I blow up my voice again. So
anyway,
all right.
night,
Later,
everybody.
All right.